Hey there, Canyon lovers. It is the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, presented by Bright Angel Outfitters, where we aim to help you have your best possible experience in the Grand Canyon. My name is Brian Special, and this time, it's very personal. You see, you're going to huff and puff right alongside me as I take on the number one canyon hike on my bucket list, the one-day double crossing, Rim to Rim to Rim. We'll hike South Kaibab to North Kaibab and then back up South Kaibab for a total of more than 43 miles and more than 20,000 feet of elevation change in a grueling hike I expect to take around 20 hours. All right, the idea for this one was ingrained in me 2 years ago on my first Rim to River, as I was cruising down South Kaibab, making the, unbeknownst to me at the time, massive mistake of doing so without poles and going way too fast, thus unknowingly destroying my legs for the climb up Bright Angel. I was doing some leapfrogging with a young couple. I finally asked them where they were headed, and they said to the North Rim and then back. I mean, my eyes must have bugged totally out of my head because this was the first I was hearing of a Rim to Rim to Rim, and the thought of it was just mind-boggling. How long do you think it'll take you? I asked them. Oh, we're hoping for 24 hours, is what they said. This was the second time my eyes popped out of my head because it was so hard to comprehend hiking for that long and that far. And it would be a long time before I could comprehend it because hours later, as I was finishing that Rim to River, I was completely cooked and thought it was one of the hardest things I'd ever done, Rim to River. And that was just 17 and a half miles compared to a Rim to Rim to Rim, which is 43 miles if you go up South Kaibab and over 45 if you choose Bright Angel. Just incomprehensible. Well, with that idea locked in my mind and with more and more canyon miles and knowledge I gained, I decided my experience and fitness had finally made it to a point where I was up to the challenge. So in October, I booked a cabin on the North Rim at Grand Canyon Lodge and made the journey over from the south side, spent the night, and then returned to the South Rim the next day. But that was over 2 days, and I knew for whatever reason I ultimately wanted to do it in just a single day. I knew the weather was going to have to cool off significantly. It was still too hot for me in October, so I began looking for the first window of true fall weather, which can come far too late in Arizona. Finally, a week before Thanksgiving, things looked favorable. Temps in the 40s on the South Rim, 50s and 60s at the bottom, and near 40 on the North Rim. So I booked a hotel in Tucson, just a mile from the park entrance, drove up from Phoenix that afternoon, hung out in my room that evening, and planned my 9 p.m. start. My thinking was it would take me around 20 hours to complete, and I wanted to finish in the daylight. So 20 hours after 9 p.m. that Friday would be 5 p.m. on Saturday, so I'd finish with not even an hour to spare if everything went according to plan. Well, unfortunately, that plan would mean hiking the entire first crossing from South Kaibab to North Kaibab in total darkness, which did not sound particularly appealing, but I didn't feel I had any other choice. So that sets the scene, and what follows are my thoughts along the way as they happened. This is what it's like to hike Rim to Rim to Rim in the Grand Canyon. All right, just dropping in at the South Kaibab trailhead at 9 p.m. on November 17th. 39 degrees at the start. Got some light gloves on. I have a light hoodie on. I have a base layer. I have a t-shirt. So 3 layers. And I've got my neck warmer, which I think is key to hiking in colder weather. Decided to do South Kaibab to North Kaibab to South Kaibab instead of going up Bright Angel. I wrestled with it so hard. But for my first time doing Rim to Rim to Rim, I decided that I would rather come up South Kaibab because it's just over 2 miles shorter, though you do gain 400 more feet of elevation than you do on Bright Angel over those shorter miles. So it's a steeper climb. There's no water available on South Kaibab. Most people go up Bright Angel because they think it's more gradual and because there is water available seasonally. Though right now you'll only have water available at Havasupai Gardens. The water is shut off for the season already at 3 Mile Rest House and the 1.5 Mile Rest House. I like coming up South Kaibab because it's shorter. It's steeper, but it's shorter, and I like that. I'd rather not deal with the extra flat miles on Bright Angel. I'd rather deal with the steepness of South Kaibab. I think it's a little bit of a myth that South Kaibab is so much harder going up than Bright Angel is, because the last 3 miles of Bright Angel are as hard as anything on South Kaibab. There's just more steepness on South Kaibab, more steep parts. And it's not something you want to go up in the summertime, because the unavailability of water in the summertime really, really matters. You can get yourself into a lot of trouble coming up South Kaibab, and honestly, I have before. This last summer, I got myself into a significant problem that I honestly didn't even know if I was gonna make it out. But that's a tale for another day. The bottom line is, you can come up South Kaibab in the cooler times because you don't need as much water. Doing it in the summer, honestly, can be a death wish. So we're starting down the chimney here, which is a steep set of switchbacks at the top of South Kaibab. We'll get down below that. We'll be we're about a mile away from Uah Point, which won't be much to look at tonight because it's pitch black. There'll be nothing to see. After that, after that Cedar Ridge, which is the 1.5 point, then Skeleton Point, which is at the 3 mile point, the tip-off, just over 4 miles, and then the Black Bridge. There's about 6.5 miles, 7.5 to Phantom Ranch, and then we're on North Kaibab and on our way up to the North Rim. And once we get there, 13.5 miles later, we turn around and retrace our steps. So I'm going to bring you guys along on the way. I apologize if the heavy breathing is distracting, but my goal here is for you guys to get a real life experience of what this is like. I'm actually in the middle of doing this hike as we do this podcast, and B, to keep me company, because it's 9 p.m. I expect this to take me around 20 hours, so I'm not going to be finished until approximately 5 p.m. tomorrow, I don't think. So I could use the company, especially in the dark, because the entire 21.5 miles from here to the North Rim is going to be in the dark, and that will be a very interesting experience. I've hiked the canyon in the dark before, but always during full moons. There's no moon tonight. It is pitch black. A lot of stars up there. It's supposed to be a meteor shower tonight, like an annual meteor shower, so I'm going to try to avoid twisting my ankle as I look up and see if I can see some meteors. So anyway, glad to have you guys along for the ride, along for the hike. You're going to keep me motivated, believe it or not, and hopefully you'll learn something about the canyon and what it's like to do rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon. So I'm going to sign off for now, and we'll check back in with you in a little bit. All right, so far, so good. I can tell you that night sky above the canyon, man, it's just spectacular. There's not a lot of places where it's dark enough to see so many stars shining so brightly. But if you're hiking, you're not going to get much of a chance to enjoy them unless you stop. That's because South Kaibab can be pretty dangerous, even in daylight. Not because there's any danger of falling off an edge anywhere. There never is unless you wander off the trail. But because the trail is rocky and uneven, and it's rutted out in a lot of places because of the daily mule trains. So a twisted ankle or a hyperextended knee is always a possibility, and that can end your day in a hurry. So it's best to always keep your eyes on the trail. I did run into 2 sets of trail runners just below Cedar Ridge, so they had about 1.5 miles to go to complete their rim to rim to rims. And yeah, they looked like they were very, very happy to be so close to the finish. Nobody's too pleased. Not a lot of smiles on their on faces when you see people trudging up the last segments of South Kaibab. Now, the wind was blowing enough that night to mess with my recordings going down South Kaibab, so we pick it up just over 4.5 miles in as we make our way toward the river. All right, we are just below tip-off. We just passed the tip-off, which is 4.5 miles from the trailhead. We have another just over 2 miles and about 1,500 feet of elevation loss to get to the Black Bridge, crossing the Colorado River. Then about another half mile, 3/4 of a mile from there to Phantom Ranch. And then we're 13 and a half from the North Rim. So it is 10:43 p.m. right now. It's taken us an hour and 43 minutes to get to this point. Let's check the temperature. My thermometer says that it's 61. It was 39 at the top. So it is significantly warmer. I still have my gloves on for some reason. I guess I just don't want to stop and take them off. But they say about 5 degrees for every 1,000 feet that you go down. Temperature changes, it gets warmer. So I would say that's pretty accurate. It's pretty warm for November here, even in Arizona. Temperatures have been way above normal. I've been looking for a window to come and do this hike for over a month now. I did a Rim2Rim2Rim over 2 days in early October, and I got really caught by how hot it was. I didn't expect it to be as hot as it was, and man, that really affects your hike when you get past the box and you're in the wide open on North Kaibab heading toward Manzanita, Cottonwood, that long stretch right there where it's just wide open. And I was in the direct sun, and it was probably in the 90s, close to 100. Yeah, it was too hot for me, and I suffered and paid for it that night, and then came back the next day. But ever since then, I've been looking to do a Rim2Rim2Rim in one day. It's kind of been my ultimate goal, and here we are. I've been just waiting for the weather to be decent, cool, headed toward cold, yet in that little window when there's no snow or ice on the North Rim, because it can be very, very difficult to access the North Rim in the winter months when there's snow on the ground. North Rim closes October 15th every year. It's only open from May 15th to October 15th. They close down all the services on the North Rim on October 15th every year, and there's nothing available up there. You can still drive your car to the trailhead, but there's no water, there's no gasoline available, there's no food. You're completely on your own from October 15th until they close the gate. They actually do close the gate either December 1st or the first major snowfall. The North Rim gate is closed at Jacob Lake, about 45 miles, I should say, away from the North Rim itself. So North Rim it's 1,000 feet higher than the South Rim. It's at about 8,000 feet in elevation, whereas the South Rim is at 7,000 feet in elevation. So they get a significant amount of snow up there every year. Last year, it was a really, really rough winter, and the North Rim was actually closed until June of this year. And the North Kaibab Trail was closed until June as well, because there was so much damage, so many rock slides and erosion on the trails that they had to take the extra. Oh man, what was it? Maybe it didn't open until July, but they had to do so much work on the North Rim and on the North Kaibab Trail to get it open again. So I actually think it was July when it opened. Crazy. Anyway, I've been looking for a good window to get out here and do this Rim2Rim2Rim in one day, and that's where we are right now. November. It took till November to find a good time. No snow, no ice. I don't even think it's snowed anywhere in the canyon yet, and it's a week away from Thanksgiving. So somewhat surprising, but I'll take it. Anyway, we trudge on. We've got about another 2 miles to go to get to the river. Definitely already feeling it in the knees and in the joints. The feet are already feeling this 3,000 or so feet of descent that we have already done. It can be very difficult going downhill on South Kaibab, because South Kaibab is fairly steep, and the steps, they're giant steps almost the whole way down, and they're awkward, they're not evenly spaced, they're different heights. So I always think the best kind of training for this, well, if you don't have a good mountain with steepness and awkward steps, then if you're using bleachers, let's say, Do some where you're doing 2 at a time, because the steps here are big. Some of them can be like up to your knee, that high, and some of them are much shorter, but they're awkwardly spaced and awkwardly sized, so it can be difficult. If we could see anything right now, which we can't because it is almost 11 o'clock at night, it's pitch black. The stars are spectacular. I can hear the Colorado. Wow. So that's what I was going to say. You can actually hear the river and see the river in the daylight for most of the way from tip-off until you get to the bottom, which is cool. Colorado, I was here a week ago doing a hike on Tonto, and Colorado was running green at that time. It's either green or a muddy brown. And when it's green, I think it's a little bit prettier. Makes for better pictures, but it's spectacular no matter what. But yeah, I can hear it roaring down there. And we're still probably about, probably 1,300 feet above it or so. So the mighty Colorado, always letting you know it's there. Anyway, we'll continue the descent here as we enter the inner gorge of the Grand Canyon. We're just below the Tonto platform and the tip-off. And we're going to walk through billions and billions of years old rock. It's amazing to even think about as we continue down to the Colorado River, where we'll check in with you again. The journey continues. A long way to go. We've only gone just under 5 miles. Going, I think, a total of about 42 over these, 20-ish hours or so that we're going to be hiking continuously. So, get back to work and talk to you down at the river. Now, I had been warned that the canyon can play tricks on you at night, and sure enough, not long after I turned the camera off, I started hearing things just off to my left. No, really, like rocks shifting around. Something was out there. I only hoped it wasn't one of the mountain lions that are spotted in the canyon from time to time. I heard something rustling in the distance, and then I shined my light over there, and I saw all these eyes glowing back up at me. Oh my gosh. A little spooky. Until I got my light on them and saw that they were bighorn. There were a bunch of them, probably 8 to 10 of them, I would say. And they were just kind of waiting there until I went on my way, but that was neat to see. All right, it is 11:39 p.m. 2 hours and 39 minutes after we dropped in from South Kaibab Trailhead. I just crossed the Black Bridge. We're at the bottom of the canyon. I can hear the Colorado. I can't see anything. It is pitch black. It was crazy crossing Black Bridge, actually. When you're used to seeing just beauty everywhere, you just see nothing but black in either direction down the river and up the river. A little spooky, a little surreal. Now, that time I just told you, 2 hours and 39 minutes, is actually significant in Rim2Rim2Rim lore. And here's some perspective for you. That was still an above average hiking pace to get to the bottom. 2 hours and 39 minutes to just pass Black Bridge. Jim Walmsley, ultramarathoner who's at the top of the game right now, a few years ago set the all-time Grand Canyon record for going rim to rim to rim in 5 hours and 55 minutes, going this exact route, South Kaibab to North Kaibab, and then back up South Kaibab. Now, the reason the 2 hour and 39 minute number is so significant is because when he set that record, he ran to the North Rim from the South Rim in 2 hours and 39 minutes. So what took us at an above average hiking pace to get to the Colorado River, Jim Walmsley would already be standing on the North Rim about to turn around and head back. Guys, the North Rim is 13 and a half miles from here. 5,000 feet of elevation. That has to be, at the time, that was also the record. He accidentally, he said, set the record for Rim2Rim at that time. It's since been broken. But he set the record for Rim2Rim at that time accidentally by going out in 2 hours and 39 minutes. A 5 hour and 55 minute Rim2Rim2Rim. For those that have done it, even fast ultra marathoners who have done it, it has to be one of the great achievements athletically in human history. It has to be. It is unfathomable that I could hike down this thing in 2 hours and 39 minutes and Jim Walmsley would already be standing on the North Rim. That is, I can't even comprehend it. Anyhow, we're going to head our way toward Phantom Ranch, take a break, fuel up, get something to eat, and then get ready to head on the long journey to the North Rim. Still have a long way to go.
All right, a word from Bright Angel Outfitters. This hike, truth be told, was also a field test for our new Rim2Rim pack, which is a day pack designed specifically for day hikes in the Grand Canyon. We figured if it's canyon-worthy, it's worthy of any hike anywhere on Earth. The Rim2Rim pack's features are inspired by what I personally longed for but was missing in a day pack, especially pockets on the front straps, so you can store bottles, snacks, and even your phone and not have to stop and take your pack off to get them, which can be so annoying. We call these front shoulder pockets pack straps, and let me tell you something, they are game changers. We also have a fully insulated pocket for a water reservoir and anything else you want to keep cool, and we purposely limited the number of compartments and pouches on the pack because I was tired of never remembering where everything was or never being able to find something. Not only is the Rim2Rim pack simple and functional, it is also absolutely gorgeous. We chose a sleek, water-resistant fabric that just gives the pack a super high-end look. So far, this prototype has been with me for over 100 miles in the canyon, and it still looks brand new. The Rim2Rim pack will be available soon, and will of course keep you updated here on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, brought to you by Bright Angel Outfitters. All right, it was right around midnight when I got to Phantom, which can be a vibrant place during the day, but at this time of night there was nothing. Everyone seemed tucked in for the night, with the only sound that low hum from the overhead light at the cantina. I didn't record anything at Phantom because I didn't want to disturb anyone, but I can tell you I was not feeling great. My legs felt like they'd done a lot more than 7.5 miles already, especially considering they still had to carry me for another 36. Made me think of my friend Coach Arnie, who's getting ready for his second, ready for this? His second Rim2Rim2Rim2Rim2Rim. Yes, that's a quadruple crossing at the age of 64. Arnie's been a big influence on me, and he always tells people that successfully hiking in the canyon depends on how you manage the downhill. It's a downhill that'll get you, he says, and apparently, in spite of plenty of experience, the downhill had already gotten me. I wasn't feeling much better an hour and a half later.
All right, it is now 1:29 a.m. Walking alongside Bright Angel Creek. Just came out of the infamous, or famous, depending on how you look at it, the box. That's a 4.5 mile stretch after Phantom Ranch when you're headed north, that the canyon walls are just closed in on you. It is awesome, and the creek is meandering through the entire way. It's spectacular. It's a lot of people's favorite part of this hike. I love it too. It's incredible, but in the dark, it's not so incredible. It's just dark. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty tired of the dark right now. Been hiking in darkness for 4.5 hours, and unfortunately, there's still 4.5 hours to go until you start to see a little daylight. So, a couple miles to Cottonwood Campground, and then another 1.5 miles or so after that to Manzanita, and then we really start climbing to get to the North Rim. Physically, not doing so hot. This is a bit of a surprise to me that I'm struggling this hard this early. Probably about
I don't know, 11 and a half miles into the hike now, 12 miles into the hike now, as we come up on Cottonwood. And I think going down South Kaibab this time really took a lot out of my legs. I don't know if it was the dark. I don't know if it's the fact that it's middle of the night. I don't know what it is. I usually survive South Kaibab a lot better than I think I did tonight. I think it took a lot out of me. And now my knees are hurting and my feet are hurting. I'm just kind of worn out. And I have so far to go still. So that's not very encouraging. But we're going to push through. Gonna ride that struggle bus. Hang out in the pain cave for a while. I'm hoping that, once we get to the top and the sun comes out, that'll rejuvenate me a little bit, because right now it's tough. Haven't seen another person since Cedar Ridge. I ran into two duos of trail runners coming up, finishing up their Rim2Rim2Rims. And they were tired, they were ready to be done. And I was just starting. That was a long time ago. That was 30 minutes into the hike. And right now we are 4.5 hours in. Haven't seen anybody. I figure I'll start seeing some trail runners coming down North Kaibab when I start the significant ascent, which happens after Manzanita. And then you go to Roaring Springs. And, it's a long hike out, man. And then, I guess the scary part now is, once that's done, I'm going to have to turn around and do the whole thing over again, retrace my steps. Whose idea was this? This is tough. Struggling way, way, way more than I want to right now. It's too early to be feeling like this, so I hope there's a rejuvenation somewhere. A runner's high, a second wind. I did realize I didn't take any, I take ibuprofen every few hours. And I realized when I got to Phantom Ranch that I hadn't taken any yet, so I don't know if that put me behind schedule or what. I find ibuprofen helps a lot with the soreness, but that's just me. Obviously, I'm not endorsing anybody else taking ibuprofen. It's just, it works for me. I've heard some people say it's not good for you, but it works for me. So check with your doctor, I guess. I don't know. But the struggle continues. Not moving as fast as I want to. Kind of slow going. In some pain. It's a lot warmer than I thought it would be too. A lot warmer. It's probably in the low 60s right now. Bit of a surprise, so I was hoping for a little bit colder. But it is what it is. The canyon doesn't care. It's been here billions of years. So we just keep pressing on. Onward.
If you're planning a rim to rim, north to south is typically the preferred route. That's because from the river to the North Kaibab trailhead, there is an elevation change of 5,761 feet. Whereas from the river to the south rim, it's about 4,400 feet up Bright Angel and 4,800 up South Kaibab. So there is less climbing going north to south. Going south to north, though, as we're doing, we've already gained over 2,000 feet by the time we reach Manzanita Rest Area, but that's over 8.6 miles we've gained that 2,000 feet from the river. We still have 5.4 miles to the north rim and more than 3,600 feet of elevation to go.
All right, it is 3:28 a.m. 6 hours and 28 minutes down. Just leaving Manzanita Rest House. Took a pretty long break there. The water was on, which was a nice surprise. I thought all the water was off on the north rim. But we're 6 hours and 28 minutes in. And now just beginning the climb, 5.4 miles from here. Over 3,000 feet of elevation to the north rim. Again, for the Walmsley perspective, gotta go there. He would have been finished with his Rim2Rim2Rim and be standing on the south rim approximately 33 minutes ago. So I haven't even made it to, I've just made it to the hardest section of North Kaibab, 5.4 miles to go. And Walmsley would have already been to the North Rim and back to the South Rim. It is, it's incomprehensible to me. Incomprehensible. But anyway, hike your own hike, run your own run. Most people run rim to rim to rim. I'm not a runner, so I'm hiking this bad boy. And I'll get there when I get there. Feel a little bit better than I did last time we talked before Cottonwood. So that's good. Took some more Advil, had a little snack, and now we begin the long climb. Hoping to get to the North Rim before sunrise. Sun should be just starting to come up when we get there, hopefully. But a lot of work left to do before we get to the top and then turn around and go all the way back to South Kaibab. But at least that'll be in the daylight. I don't think I will ever be happier to see a sunrise than I will this one, because it's been 6.5 hours in pitch black. Sometimes I'll stop and turn around, turn my lamp off, and it's pitch black. You can't see anything except the stars. Good news is, I was told there was 80% chance of rain, and I haven't even seen a cloud. There's not a cloud in the sky. Still crystal clear. Can change in a hurry, but so far so good. So 5.4 miles to go. Long way to go, a lot of climbing to do. So I'll get to work and check in a bit. All right, 4:38 a.m. Just passed Redwall Bridge. That means 3 miles to the top still. And this is probably from here to Supai Tunnel, which is at the 1.7 mile mark. This is probably the steepest part of the climb for the next 1.3 miles. So, lots to do still. 4:38 a.m. Been at this for 7.5 hours. Just passed a couple of trail runners headed down. They were very chipper and happy. But of course, they're only 3 miles in. See what they're like on the way back.
I did see a couple of other hikers at Manzanita, so that marked the end of more than 6 hours without seeing anyone except that herd of bighorn sheep.
All right, it's 5:12 a.m. 8 hours and 12 minutes into this bad boy. We are at Supai Tunnel, 1.7 miles now. Over 1,000 feet still of elevation from the North Rim. So, doing pretty good. Feet hurt, legs hurt. Definitely tired. But I still feel better than I did before Cottonwood, when I was complaining back there. So I don't know why that is, but it's getting colder. Put the gloves and the neck warmer back on. But I don't think I'm going to spend too much time on the North Rim when I get there. I'll turn around and get back down pretty quick. Maybe to Manzanita again and have some food. So I'm going to check out and work hard here for the next 1.7 miles. Get to the top and check in when I'm there.
At this point, I know very well how close I am to the trailhead, which can make it seem like it takes forever. The Coconino Overlook is just a mile from Supai Tunnel and just 7/10 of a mile from the top. And unfortunately for me, I was laser focused on seeing that Coconino Overlook sign and was thus expecting it at the end of pretty much every switchback. So it took a long time for it to appear, so long that I had convinced myself that I'd passed it. But then finally, there it was. And from there, I think there was a little burst of adrenaline until finally, my headlamp was shimmering on the kiosk at the North Kaibab trailhead. And there we were.
All right, made it to the north side. Sitting here at the North Kaibab trailhead. Made it here at 6:04 a.m. So 9 hours and 4 minutes to get from South Kaibab to North Kaibab. All in all, not bad. Sitting here eating an orange. It's great. Had a piece of pizza. That was horrific. I always find it very, very difficult to eat properly, much less eat anything, honestly, on these long hikes. I just never feel like it. And it's something I know I need to do. Getting your nutrition squared away, your hydration squared away is super important, but I just have not been able to do it in all the hikes I've done. So, work in progress. I've had plenty of water the whole time. It's cold. It's 40 degrees right now. That's what the thermometer here at the trailhead says. So, yeah, that was tough. That's one rim to rim down and one rim to rim to go to make one full rim to rim to rim. So it's going to be a grind. It's still pitch black out. So did this entire hike in the pitch black darkness. That's not something I would recommend. That was pretty difficult. Not only are you in one of the 7 natural wonders of the world and not able to see any of it, but you're looking down the whole time, at artificial light, because you don't want to trip, you don't want to twist your ankle, so you can't be looking up at the stars or anything. You got to really pay attention to what you're doing, and that's a grind for 9 hours and 4 minutes. So this will be better. It won't be too long before the sun comes up, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I will have never ever been happier to see a sunrise and to see daylight than I will when this sun comes up this morning. It should be in the next 15 minutes or so. We'll start seeing the twilight, and then the sun will be up in an hour. That'll be fantastic. So I'm going to get back at it, and on to part 2.
And that is the halfway point. All that really means is the first step I take back down North Kaibab, and every step thereafter will mark the longest hike I've ever done. Just about 22 miles down with 4,780 feet of elevation lost and 5,761 feet of elevation gained. And now we do it all over again. All right, in our next episode, we'll have part 2 of the Rim to Rim to Rim adventure. I can promise you lots of ups and downs, lots of questioning the decision to do this in the first place, and to show you what it's like to start up the mighty South Kaibab when you're not sure you can take another step. Oh, the memories. Guys, it would greatly help us if you'd leave a review and subscribe to the podcast. We would appreciate it so much. You can also find us on YouTube, where there's a growing library of informative videos, as well as Instagram and TikTok. Just look for @GrandCanyonHikerDude. My name is Brian Special. Hey, go hike the canyon. Take that first step. Embrace the journey and hike your own hike. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, presented by Bright Angel Outfitters.